like cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum songwriter, platinum artist. Welcome back to Straight Game TV. I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and hit the bell for the notification so that you can be first on point to check out this new information in this good game that I'm dropping to you. The questions have been pouring in, and this question right here came from one of the people who look at my videos, and they asked me, do I think that Tupac understood that he had more power than Suge Knight when it came to his situation and being released from jail and actually recording under death row? And the answer to that question is yes and no. When Tupac was released from jail, I don't think he understood that, and if he did, he played it real low and was real humble about the situation. But as time went on, after he released All Eyes on Me, and things, money started to be made, records started to sell, you got the #1 record in the country, or should I say in the world at that particular time. I think things became more visible to him, and, once he seen what he needed to see, he then began to maneuver to remove himself from the situation. And I'm going to give it to you like this. So remember, when Tupac died, and his mom had filed the lawsuit, there was an accusation, an accusation made in court. Basically, Death Row said that Death Row, Suge Knight, and David Kennedy said that Tupac owed $7 million, and he was in debt to Death Row. He actually owed Death Row money. And I'm here to tell you that when you understand the power that Tupac had, that I think he came to realize that he had, Tupac, like his mother, when she filed a lawsuit, would have been given the same thing that his mother was given after Tupac died. Now, I'm going to tell you this. So when Tupac died, it was in November 1st of 1996, they had a meeting, and they basically drew paperwork up because Tupac's mom had basically filed a cease and desist, once again, that they couldn't release the Machiavelli album, right? So now, when Tupac died, his mother, Iovine, was supposed to meet up with Suge shortly after that, in which she said she had a conversation with him. They were going to meet up and, get this situation handled and so on and so forth. So Iovine and her attorney, they waiting on this particular day for Suge to show up. So Suge doesn't show up to the meeting. And, Iovine said she had told her attorney, like, well, damn, I thought, he said he was going to show up, but he didn't show up, right? Why didn't he show up? The reason why Suge Knight didn't show up to that meeting is because he didn't have the legal reason to show up. He didn't have the contractual fortitude, should I say, to show up. He didn't have the law on his side or the ability to show up because he didn't have the contract that he would needed to display to Iovine and her attorney that would give him the rights to the things that he said that he had the rights to. Now, so at that particular time, Suge was free and he could have showed up. So on November 1st, 1996, there was a meeting held and there was papers drawn up between Tupac Shakur's mother, her attorney, and Interscope co-founder Jimmy Iovine, and a group of attorneys. Death Row wasn't there. No representative from Death Row was there. Suge was in jail at the time for that probation violation. And even David Kennedy, who Tupac had signed that piece of paper getting out of jail saying that Suge Knight was his manager and David Kennedy was his attorney, David Kennedy didn't even show up. Why? Because for everybody who said that, Tupac didn't fire David Kennedy, Mr. Ogletree, from David Kenner's own mouth, Mr. Ogletree was Tupac's new attorney. Tupac had fired David Kenner, and this is from David Kenner's mouth. So people who've been running around saying things that they had no knowledge of, right, now need to stand corrected. And once again, do your due diligence and not just say stuff just to have something to say. You know what I mean? I never want to be that guy who just want to say something just to have something to say. I wanted to be backed by facts. And in fact, during the meeting that they had, the attorneys actually pledged an additional $2 million to the $3 million non-refundable to Tupac's mother after he died at this particular meeting, to be paid before April, and help negotiate and upgrade the royalty rate from 12 to 18% paid to her son for past releases. So they were basically gonna up the royalty rate from that 12 from his original contract to the 18%, which, you know, the deal memo stated because Jimmy Iovine was aware of everything that happened. And basically Afeni was sticking to her guns in regards to that. And once again, this is the power. Remember that $7 million that I told you that Death Row said that Tupac had owed. Tupac didn't owe no $7 million. The estimate that came out, you know, from the forensic accountants and the people that they had on board was $4.9 million in debt. And Afeni's attorney basically insists that and Interscope Act attorneys forgave 50% of the $4.9 million. And it was a point which Death Row adamantly disagrees. So now, power move. Listen. Remember I told you Jimmy Iovine had the power of attorney? It didn't matter what Death Row disagreed with. Jimmy Iovine was the man with the power. He had the power of attorney. None of that other stuff meant anything. So they basically forgave the 50% of the $4.9 million that they said that Tupac was in debt. Tupac didn't owe no $7 million. And Tupac really, truthfully, honestly, wasn't in debt. It was basically the cost that you normally incur when you are an artist. They're paying for videos and things like that. And the things that they could allocate that, you know, he was on the hook for, cool. That's all good. So then once you tally up the record sales, because in that year, Tupac had sold $60 million worth of music. So do I think that Tupac understood the power that he had over his situation with Death Row, and he had more power involving his situation than Suge Knight did? Now, check this out. You notice how Suge used to hang out with Tupac and they was real tight? Right. Suge knew that Tupac had the power. And Tupac, I think he knew, but Tupac was basically playing the role that he needed to play in order to what? Pay the bail money back, sell these records, get these 3 albums done, because the 3 albums he did not owe to Death Row. Those 3 albums he owed to Interscope. You get it? So now, once again, I'll say it to you like this. I don't think Tupac realized when he got out of jail, or he wasn't really concerned about that. He was concerned with fulfilling his obligations. And he knew with the work ethic that he had and the focus that he had, he knew that everything else would take care of itself, as it always has. Just like him getting out of jail. Once again, Tupac got out of jail because of his own royalties, of his own worth, of his own value. Like I said, once again, so when you understand that and understand everything else that like I said, that came into play, if it wasn't for Jimmy Iovine, nothing would have happened. Basically saying it was Jimmy Iovine who took the lead in getting the ball rolling to straighten this mess out. Tupac's mother's attorney said nothing would have happened if it wasn't for him. Death Row never even came to the table to have a discussion. You get it? Why wouldn't you show up? Why wouldn't Suge send a representative to that meeting? He couldn't. Jimmy Iovine said, I got this. Because he knew that Death Row didn't really have any jurisdiction or power over Tupac's work, over Tupac at all. Point blank, period. Anybody that's told you anything different from what I just explained to you, they don't know what they're talking about. Tupac's mother, in that same meeting and situation, had also cast doubts on the validity of the recording contract that Death Row struck with her son on September 16th, 1995. So basically, her lawyer basically said, he said this contract is like it's not like anything or any agreement that I've ever seen in my life. It's nothing but toilet paper. This agreement, the agreement which grants Death Row the right to release as many as 4 albums, spells out a series of advances and payments promised to Shakur, many of which Fishbein alleges the rapper never received. And that is a fact. Anybody that's telling you anything different does not know what they're talking about. It's plain and simple. Your boy DELRAY. Straight gang.